Hi everyone, welcome to Zero to Hero YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to explore what is DD statement in detail, like what it is, why it's so important, and how to use its parameters step by step. If you are new to JCL, don't worry, kindly check out my previous video, what is JCL, what is job code, and what is execute statement. I hope you have seen these videos for better understanding. Okay, now let's deep dive into today's topic. What is DD statement? DD, which means data definition. In JCL, the DD statement is used to define datasets or input-output resources for a job step. It tells the operating system what data a program needs, where it is located, and how it should be handled, and where the output should be go. Now let's see the syntax. JCL always starts with a double slash DD name, DD parameter. Here, the double slash, which means a logical name, we can have anything, but it should be within 1 to 8 characters. DD, which denotes data definition, and here parameters means there are many parameters like dataset name, disposition, space, and more. We'll discuss in detail in upcoming slides. For example, here I have taken as pay DD DSN equals to company.payroll data and DISP equals to share. Here, pay is denoted as a logical name as we discussed earlier. We can have the length within 1 to 8 characters. And DSN, which means dataset name. Here I have provided the dataset name as company.payroll.data and DISP equals to share, which means disposition. Here I have selected the share option. We'll discuss in detail in upcoming slides. Don't worry. Yeah, these are all the core DD parameters. They are DSN which means dataset name, DISP which means disposition, space is space only, SYSOUT SYSOUT which means SYSOUT which is a system output, RECFM which means record format, LRECL which means logical record length, BLKSIZE which means block size, DCB which means data control block, and DSORG which means dataset organization. Yeah, here this JCL code is used for the example for creating a PS dataset. Now let's in this video we are only discussing what is DD. So we are going to see now what DSN mean. DSN which means dataset name. It tells the JCL the name of the dataset that the program should use in that particular job step. Without DSN dataset name, the system won't know which dataset to open. The syntax is //dd name dd and DSN, which means dataset name. Here only we need to provide the actual dataset name. Yeah. Now let's see what is DISP mean. This one, DISP. DISP which means disposition. It tells JCL what to do with the dataset. Here the syntax is //dd name dd disposition equals to. In disposition, there are three options as status, normal, abnormal. Status means data set condition before job run. Normal means if the job ends successfully, what action needs to be taken. Abnormal means if the job fails, what action needs to be done. Yeah. In status, we have 4 options like new, old, SHR which means share, MOD which means mod. Here new means we are telling to create a new dataset. Old means we are asking to use it but no sharing is allowed, so that we are using old. SHR means share. It can be used in this JCL and any other job also. So we are using SHR. MOD which means if the particular dataset is present, it will use. If not, it will create a new one. Under normal, we have 3 options like keep, catalog, delete. Under normal, we have 3 options like keep, catalog, delete. Keep data without cataloging. Catalog means cataloging the dataset for the future use. Delete means when it is successful, after the job ends, the dataset will be deleted. For the abnormal termination also, the same 3 will be there: keep, catalog, and delete. Yeah, let's see the example for better understanding. Example 1. Create and catalog a new dataset. For that, we will provide the dataset name, DSN, which means dataset name, the particular dataset. Here, disposition, we are giving us new. Why new means we are creating a new dataset. So, new. Catalog, if it is a successful run, we need to catalog this dataset. Delete means if it is unsuccessful run, we are providing delete. Create a dataset. If it is successful run means catalog. If not, delete it. Example 2. Use existing dataset in shared mode. So that here DSN name is same and this position DISP means this position. Here we are giving shared, which means the dataset is already existing in this system and we are already allowing in the shared mode. So we are using SHR. Append to dataset. Here disposition equals to mod. Why? Because if the company.log.data is already present means we are asking to use it. If it is not there means we are asking to create a new dataset name like company.log.data. Okay, now let's see where this disposition is used. For input dataset, we mainly use disposition equals to share. For output dataset, we often use disposition equal to new, catalog, delete. For temporary dataset, we use disposition as new, delete, delete. Based on the requirements only, this all will change. Still now we have covered what is DD and DSN, disposition which is DSP. Now let's see what is space. Space tells the system how much storage to allocate when creating a new dataset. Space is applied only to a dataset on DASD, which means direct access storage devices. In space, there are many parameters like unit, primary, secondary, and directly. I will explain you what unit and primary in detail in upcoming slides. Component of space. First one we are going to see is unit. Here we have TRK, which means track, CYL, which means cylinder, BLK, which means block, REC, which means record. For example, it will be like space equal to TRK, 10, 5. I will explain what this 10, 5 in detail in the next slide. Yeah. Primary quantity and secondary quantity. This primary quantity which means initial space allocated when the dataset is created. Here the 10 in this 10 which means 10 tracks which has act as primary quantity. Here the second place is 5. The 5 which acts as tracks for secondary, which means when the primary quantity is full, the space is allocated in the secondary quantity. So we are doing nothing as 10 comma 5. For example, I have given as 10 comma 5. This can be anything. Based on your requirement, you can provide the quantity here. Directly blocks. Directly blocks is mainly used for PDS and PDSC. For example, space equals to, here I have taken a cylinder unit and the primary quantity as 5, secondary quantity as 2, and the directly blocks as 10, which means we can have 10 directly blocks. Optional subparameters, RLSC, which means release. When the successful run came, the unused spaces will be released. So the RLSC is used. Yeah, now let's see the example. Example 1. Sequential dataset. Sequential dataset means PS dataset. If you want to know how to create PS dataset using IFPF, you can check out this video. Yeah. Now let's see this example. Here the dataset name as provided as my.seq.data and disposition as new catalog delete. Okay, fine. Space equal to, see, we are providing track, comma 10, comma 5, which means we are telling 10 primary quantity is enough and 5 secondary quantity is enough. Now example 2, partition dataset, which means PDS. If you want to know how to create PDS using IFPF panel, you can check out this video. Okay. Okay. Now see, for using JCL, we need to provide the information in the space 1, like space equal to cylinder, comma 5, comma 2, comma 20. Here 5 means primary quantity as 5 cylinder and 2 which means secondary quantity. For directly blocks, we have provided 20, for example. Example 3. Release unused space. We are just here adding RLSC, which means when the job is successfully completed, it will release the unused space. Now let's see the SYSOUT parameter in detail. SYSOUT, which means system output. It is a DD parameter used to route outputs from a job step to the spool or a printer. Instead of writing to a dataset, SYSOUT directly prints the output to the JES, which is job entry subsystem. The syntax is SYSOUT equals to class. Okay. Now let's see the type of SYSOUT usage. Here SYSOUT equals to, we can have from A to Z based on our needs. And if we have SYSOUT equals to star, which means use the same output class as specified in the job code. For example, if we used in job code message class as X, the same will be applicable for this JCL also. If we use message class in job code as X means if we use SYSOUT equal to star, it will use the same as X. Okay. Still now we have completed what is DSN dataset name and DISP, which means disposition, space, track, and primary secondary quantity and release. Yeah, okay. Now let's go into what means by DCB and its parameter in detail. DCB, which means data control block. It is a collection of parameters in a DD statement that describes the physical characteristics of a dataset. Think of DCB as a blueprint of the dataset. It defines how records are stored, organized, and accessed. Syntax. Here the above line is common, okay. DCB equals to RECFM, which means record format. LRECL, logical record length. BLKSIZE, which means block size. DSORG, which means dataset organization. We will discuss each parameter in detail in next slide. Okay, now let's see what's meant by LRECL in detail. LRECL, which means logical record length. It specifies the length in bytes of each record in a dataset. It works together with RECFM, which means record format, and block size, which means BLKSIZE, to define how data is stored and accessed. The syntax is DCB equals to here for record format we have provided FB and record length as logical record length as 80 and block size equals 800. Here LRECL, which means logical record length equals 80, which means each record is 80 bits long. Okay, still now we have covered up to this. Now let's see what record RECFM, which means record format, means. RECFM, which means record format. It defines how records are physically stored in a dataset, whether it can be fixed or variable or blocked or unblocked. The syntax is this. Here we have taken RECFM equal to FB, which means record format is FB. FB means fixed block length. Yeah, types of RECFM. Now we are going to see the types of record format. First one is F, which means fixed. Each record has a fixed size. Example is we will put as RECFM equals to F if we need fixed one. It is used for dataset with uniform records like payroll data. Second type is fixed block, which is denoted as FB. Fixed length records group into blocks. While using JCL, we used as RECFM equals to FB. Most common format for sequential dataset. It will be very effective for input-output datasets also. Now let's see what is V. V, which means variable, where records can have different length. Each record has a 4-bit prefix indicating length. Here, while using JCL, we will use, if we want V means variable means, we will use RECFM equal to V. It mainly used when dataset records vary in size. Okay, VB, which means variable blocked. Variable length record group into blocks. While using JCL, we need to denote record. If we want VB means we need to denote as RECFM equals to VB. This which saves the space when record size vary. U means undefined. No predefined format. Basically, it is used for BSAM datasets, and it is used for dataset like load modules, transaction information also. Where RECFM is used, RECFM, which means record format. For if we put a record format as FB, which is fixed block, it is commonly used for sequential flat files, which is PS. VB, which will variable block, VB variable block, it is used when record size varies, like transaction logs. U, which is which means undefined, which is mainly used for executable libraries like VSAM datasets. Okay, still now in DCB we have covered LRECL, RECFM. Now let's see what block size mean. Okay, RLKSIZE, which means block size. It specifies the number of bytes in each physical block of a dataset. A block is a group of records that stored together on a disk or tape. Block size works together with record format and logical record length. Syntax. Here the others are same, and here we have just added block size equal to 800. Here this 800, which means each block contains 800 bytes. With LRECL, which means logical record length, is 80. This means 10 records per block. Okay. Now let's see what is DSORG in detail. DSORG, which means dataset organization. It specifies how a dataset is physically organized on the disk. It is part of DCB attributes in DD statement. It tells the system whether the dataset is sequential or partition or VSAM. The syntax, the others are same. Here we need to add DSORG, which means dataset organization, as PS. PS means sequential. Yeah. Now let's see the types of DSORG in detail. PS. PS means physical sequential. Dataset is sequential, records stored one after another. Most common type for flash file. Basically, for example, it will be used for payroll data, transaction log, etc. Which means partition organization. Dataset is partitioned, like a folder with multiple members. Each member is a sequential dataset. VS, which means VSAM organization. Dataset is a VSAM dataset, where VSAM, which means virtual storage access method, where dataset organization is used. If we use PS is actually used in sequential files for input and output data. PO, which is PDS, it is mainly used for library, JCL library, COBOL or load modules. VSAM, VS, which means VSAM dataset, which is mainly used for indexing or transaction access purposes. Okay, now let's see unique parameter. It defines the data type where the dataset will be allocated. Values. Here we can have, there are different types, but I have taken only 3 for a better understanding. Unit equals to SYSDA, and another one is unit equals to tape. Unit equals to 3390. Based on our requirements, we need to use. Now let's see volume dataset in detail. It specifies the volume serial number where the dataset resides. Dataset is not cataloged, or when you want to force allocate on a specific volume. Here, for example, volume equals to SCR serial, and we need to provide the what serial we need to use, means we need to provide it. And another one is volume equals to REF equals to dataset. Based on your requirements, you need to set the volume.
Thank you guys. See you in the studio. Bye bye.